Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another day, another week, another episode on this Thursday edition of 30 and Still Gaming. On today's show, we're going to be talking about Microsoft stop announcing Xbox console sales because it cares more about the content service. We're going to be talking about three Grand Theft Auto games will be available on Netflix next month. And we're going to watch a video, 8-minute video of The Banisher, Ghost of Eden, or New Eden. We're going to watch that. And then there's talks about one article more about Gamepass. So all those on today's show. If you like what we do here, we do a live show with chat. Go back and forth, have conversations about video games, about entertainment news, about random stuff. And that's what we do here. So if you like that, please make sure you share, like, subscribe. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, you become a member as little as $5. What's going on, Kylo? What's going on, Travis? What's going on, Water? GTA 6 exclusive on Netflix. Can you imagine? We talked about that a couple of weeks ago. Could you imagine? Out of the gate, all of a sudden they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna go with Netflix," and everyone's like, "They just take Grand Theft Auto 6." That would be a good way to just completely trash a game real fast. They're like, "Hold my beer, Disney. You could destroy Star Wars in a decade. We could destroy Grand Theft Auto in about 30 minutes." Let's see. So I may or may have not played a little bit of a thing before the show this morning. I may or may not like the thing a lot. May or may not. Don't know. Whatever game that is, and whatever thing I'm talking about, that's my thoughts. That's my thoughts. But we can talk about, at least I think we can talk about. Okay, let me bring this up for a second. Let me go to... Yeah, because I am just reading through Twitter. I am just reading through Twitter. Okay. Just reading through Twitter. That's all I'm doing. Woke up this morning. Started reading through Twitter. Okay. Now, all my speaking of right now is based off of what Miller, the person who basically leaked, talked about, hyped up, kept everything going for Marvel's Avengers as Marvel's Avengers before it came out, as it came out, as it was out, as it was dying. This man single-handedly kept the hype up about the game. And I'm here for it. Okay? I am single-handedly here for it. I love that Miller does this. He does data mines or gets information and then speaks it out. Now, he didn't sign an NDA, and I'm just speaking on just off of what he's saying on Twitter. So, none of these thoughts or what I'm saying at this point is anything but what he is writing down on these tweets. Okay? So, what I miss about DC films, what I miss about Marvel films, is that banter back and forth between all of us. You know what I mean? The hype of when you like something, when you love something. I don't care if it's, speaking of Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Game of Thrones, when there's a little community that it's like, "Oh, did you watch this? Oh, can you imagine what this is? What's going to happen? I don't know. Let's get excited. Let's speculate. Let's do a bunch of stuff." That's what I like that what Miller did about Marvel's Avengers. Now, Marvel's Avengers had its issues. Guaranteed, right? Facts. It had its issues. But I love that game. I love the game because it was Marvel. I love the game because it was comic book characters. And I love the fact that we could speculate. And majority of it was spot on. Obviously, the rest of it was wrong because they didn't even come out with it. They just ended the game. So I'm excited that Miller is doing this yet again. So I'm going to read through some of Miller's tweets, okay? And you can take what you want with a grain of salt or whatnot, and I'm going to speculate based on what he is saying in these tweets, okay? Because I've already said most of the stuff beforehand. We have receipts and comments and stuff when I made videos about Suicide Squad almost a year ago. So it says, Miller says, if I'm being cagey about the identities of post-launch characters, know that this is mostly because I'm not 100% on the game's narrative yet. I don't know what consists of story spoilers, and I don't want to ruin it. Massive twist. He says, also, I don't know the age of the data I'm looking at. This could all be the prototype stuff that this is scrapped, and I only have one build to reference, so I can't track changes, and it's extremely early days, and I've only just started, and I've had some hunches, and some things add up, and some things don't. He says, the character I mentioned with the traversal, I'm most sure of, I've seen unique audio prompts of her, and are reserved explicitly for playable character. These shed light on her abilities and speak to a very full design and implement very deal of work, or great deal of work, and she may be first up as the next character. Now, he says, I've seen strings that denote named characters in combat. These include enemies and NPCs. Amanda Waller is one of those bosses, etc. Brock is there, but a specifically grouped with other playable characters. That's not one thing that points to him, but it's a big one. Okay. Of that list, I'm fairly confident in which early implementations from the post-launch pipeline and which are non-playable NPCs and enemies, these are latter are well developed outside of those strings and with a lot of data revealing their role, while the former are just whispers. Additionally, there is a third character that I believe will ultimately be added post-launch, and she's similar in the mix, but from what I've seen, I guess that she's the furthest out from the three. From what I dug up so far, those are the three that I've earmarked. He continues by saying, too early to say sure if there are the first three, or they're coming 100% for sure at all, etc. But they're likely they've mapped out 24 characters internally, and they've had strong sense for a long while. Who will be up to bat and what order? So they're mapped out 24 characters. Now, based off what Miller's saying and based off of my own speculations, based off of what I said over a year ago with this game, I said this game lives or dies just like Marvel's Avengers based on the amount of heroes you bring into the game and hence how many villains you bring into the game to fight. I said this with Gotham Knights. I said this with Marvel's Avengers. I'll keep saying this for Marvel games and DC games and just comic book games in general because, hell, I'll even say it with Transformers Reactivate when it comes out. This game lives or dies based on the amount of heroes that you can play, keep coming back, and the stories that you can tell with this. It's a comic book game, right? If they can do what Marvel's failed at by keep bringing content out past that first year. Now, this is what the breakdown that I don't like is that this game is 100% all content is free after the initial pay for. Okay, so you buy the game, and everything after that is free. And that's great and all. As a consumer, you're like, oh man, all these updates are free. But it comes at a price. And the price is if not enough support, not by the developers, not enough support by the people that actually buy the game, play the game, and then buy microtransactions from this game, that will tell if the game continues past a year. Now, we did see in the frequently asked questions and stuff, you know, they have any right to shut down the game anytime, just with ample amount of time to warn people, and that's it. So this game could live for a year, it could live for 2 years, it could live on longer. So I'm going to continue what he's saying. All right, so he says there's 24 characters initially, and there's a strong sense of long while and who will be up at bat and what order. He says, if I liked Killer Croc, I'd be excited. The only other two I worry are bridging on story spoiler territory, and I don't want to reveal the identities until I've got the narrative pinned down. Give me a couple days, and I'll have the visuals at that point. This is what he did with Marvel's as well. Like, he would leak, little pictures or profile pics of the characters that were supposed to come into the game. He says, oh, and as for the unannounced feature, No, it's not Justice League powers or playable Justice League members. That's a little sad if that's true. Not to say that those aren't maybe coming, okay? I haven't seen anything necessarily that contradicts that, but that's not what I'm referring to. He says, lastly, I'm just excited for the game. I hope you are too, and I really want this game to succeed, and I love what I'm seeing so far under the hood, and I'm eager to talk about that. At this point in Avengers life cycle, you wouldn't hear from me for a couple of weeks, and I'll get there. Okay, so it sounds like he's very excited, and again, this is just, if you want to break it down at a lowest point, a lot of people don't even know who Miller is. Miller, again, was he wasn't a streamer at all before Marvel came out. And as he started leaking stuff from Marvel and data mining, he was so accurate on what was happening in the game. And then he became a streamer, and he's very successful, streaming and whatnot with the amount of people that watch him and what he does. And I think this is right up his alley, and I'm glad that he's doing this again, because this gets the hype again. This gets the hype that part of this game, or just want to be a part of this community like they was in Marvel's Avengers. Look, it was a good community, regardless if the game was shitty, okay? Regardless if the game was shitty, it was a good time speculating and whatnot. So I'm glad that Miller's doing this again, and we'll see what happens from this game. Now, let me talk a little bit about, what my thoughts are about Suicide Squad, not because I played it or anything, but because of what the data that we have, right? We know it's a looter shooter. We know that it's going to have microtransactions, and we know that it's going to have to use those microtransactions to sell. My mic is cutting out. I really hope that they support this game. I really, really hope they support this game going forward. But I hope it doesn't die a swift death like Marvel's Avengers. I hope the people that want to play the game are excited about the game and they play the game. And I hope that the company makes enough money so they can continue at least past 2 years, the 2.5 year mark or whatnot. So we'll see. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm glad that Miller is back on the case. Back on the case, as you can say. Let's see what you guys are saying. Come on, Kylo, Travis, Water, Brain, Ron. What's going on, Ron? What's going on, Dave Rose? Robert Jones, good morning. Man, I remember the hype and the chats we were used to have about the possible content coming to Avengers. Yeah, Water. And you know what? It was fun, even though a lot of the stuff, didn't come to fruition. It was true. It just didn't come to fruition because the company basically, sold it off and then closed down the shop. I'm going to say it's Miss Selena Kyle. I also remember saying Red Hood was going to be a playable, and I'm sure that this is still the case or not. It'd be interesting if they added. I mean, I'm for it, right? I mean, even in that trailer they showed, I speculated there's going to be Poison Ivy, even though she's dead from Batman Arkham. I think I think Poison Ivy is going to be in the game. I think she's going to be a playable character. Water says, I would want to play as Black Manta, Deathstroke, Bronze Tiger. Got a code from a buddy. I'm going to try it out, but I'm on the fence so far. But what I've seen, I'm a hard pass. What you've seen so far in the trailers, is that what you're talking about, Rose? Well, according to Miller, take it with a grain of salt. Killer Croc is in it, so. Again, that's for Miller. Now, is Miller right? Is Miller wrong? Doesn't really matter. Well, it's about building up that hype and getting excited for it. I mean, his track record says he's right, and he's going to be right. So, They played it way too safe with Avengers, in my opinion. And you know what? I think because I don't think they played safe. I just think they didn't know what they were doing. I think they were thinking about the money first, and what the game should have been second. I'll be honest. They had so many bugs and so many glitches that they were literally trying to catch up the entire time. What's going on, Records? They played it so safe, and they screwed it up. And that game, all it needed to do, Marvel's Avengers, right? All it needed to do was continuously add characters, which, if Marvel was behind them, right? Marvel was behind them. They're like, yeah, go for it, right? They could have just constantly, I mean, before you even release the game, behind the scenes, you should have been making characters, right? You invest in the company, you invest in your vision, and then the payoff would happen. But instead, they're like, let's put this out there, and then we'll make it down the road. But what they didn't know is they needed stuff in the pipeline. They didn't have stuff in the pipeline. They had very little in the pipeline, and then they were playing catch up with the original stuff before they could release the old stuff or the new stuff. Cuomo. Never got to notice? That's YouTube being YouTube. We just went over Mo Miller's posts verbatim on stream. So his speculations and a big thing that sticks out. One, he says that Brock is there, right? Is in the system, and there's two other characters that he doesn't want to talk about because it would be potential spoilers, and he doesn't want to do that, and I respect that. And that's the story, because people want to play the story. He says that there's 3 characters ready to go, basically, and they have up to 24 characters internally. Now, I don't know if that's internally of characters that you're playing and NPCs that you're talking to. Like in the trailer, we saw Penguin, and we saw like Lex Luthor. Do those count towards the 24 characters, or is the 24 characters like playable characters down the road? Who knows? Water says comic book game and not having content made it ready to go. Mind blowing. Yeah, I just don't get it. I don't get how anyone. This is not just Crystal Dynamics. This is even Marvel's Future Revolution did a better job than what Marvel's Avengers did. But Marvel Future Revolution at least had content coming out, and anytime like when Eternals came out, they had a little event with that, and when Doctor Strange came out, they had an event with that, right? There was like things that were happening along the lines, and they added characters. Where Marvel's Avengers like pulling their thumbs, going, I don't know what to do. What do we do? Travis says, so you're saying it will live or die by the characters are new and add-ons versus clones of people already in it. Well, that's always a balance, right? Like, that's another thing that Marvel's Avengers screwed up on. Like, first of all, why would you release Hawkeye and Kate Bishop back to back? Okay? Where they're basically the same character, right? Yes, they both shoot bows, but they both almost have the exact same abilities and whatnot. Okay? So it was a little weird that they did it that way. It would be better if they released them at the exact same time. Okay? That would be like a boy-girl model. And every time they released a model, it would have been cool. Like, for instance, Captain America was in the game, then you could have what's it called? Oh God, I'm screwing up the example I have in my head. Anyway, you should have had Thor and then Mighty Thor, right? You should have had Spider-Man and maybe Spider-Gwen. You have like a male version and a female version. So if the girls wanted to play, or the guys wanted to play, or you wanted to play the male character or the female character, boom. And then on top of that, they should have had a boss for each of the characters. Had a boss for each of the characters. That should have been the bare minimum, right? Should have had Hulk and She-Hulk. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I was going to say Captain America and Captain Carter, right? You have them. Eclipse says, I love Avengers, but the gameplay that I'm playing right now is much better than Avengers, so hopefully it gets the support it needs. Shh. You can't even say that. Yeah, you can't say that, Eclipse. I mean, it might be true, but you can't say that. Again, Avengers was the game that non-superhero companies makes as a superhero game. I still want Anthem to come back. Yeah, that's not happening, Mo. Maybe the anniversary edition. Maybe when they remaster Anthem. Maybe that's when you'll get it. Behemoth Titan says, we need Anthem too. I heard that Suicide Squad is leading into a Superman video. The setting is basically a ruined metropolis. Thing? I'm still hoping for Anthem 2. You guys, that's not going to happen. You'll get a remake or remaster before you get an Anthem 2. No, it's live. It went live at 9 o'clock. I'll be playing... Oh, I'm sorry. I may or may not be playing it after I get off stream this morning. I may or may have already played it. But I am playing... May or may not be playing it after stream. I may or may not. Anthem destroy itself? No. No, Anthem didn't destroy itself, Super Dave. Anthem was actually a pretty decent story, good gameplay. They just didn't have... It was incomplete. They didn't have content at the end of the game. And they wanted to make it a looter shooter, and they wanted to make it a live service game, and sure enough, that microtransaction store constantly had upgrades. Constantly had upgrades. Oh, you guys want to hear a farm story today? This happened this morning at 6 o'clock, 5:30. Still dark out. Okay. A delivery truck came. I won't name the company, but it was a delivery truck that was delivering food. Okay. So if you guys can figure that out. We have a lamppost in our front yard. Lamppost. Not like a big giant like street lamppost, but like a, you know, like a house 6 feet tall lamppost. Okay. The light is on. Like it's outside. It's on so, you know, you can see. That's what lights do. And I'm laying in bed. My wife's outside. She's getting the delivery, and then she comes inside, and then all of a sudden I hear boom. I didn't think anything of it. And I was like, what's the noise? Right? Because I was just kind of waking up or whatever. I get up, I look out the window, and I see the delivery truck just destroy my lamppost out front. Just like it wasn't even there. And I was thinking to myself, what in the right sense of mind was this driver that could not see the light? Like the light. Like didn't even realize it. So much so when he smashes over the light, he drove over it so far back that when he drove forward, it harpooned his undercarriage of the truck, and then he continued to drive forward until he bent the pipe and dug a trench in our front yard. He hit it so hard that he ripped out the wiring of it. And I can't make this shit up. I can't make this shit up. I mean, I'm amazed on how this stuff happens. Not a day goes by with not something interesting happens here. My house needs its own damn reality show. I'm telling you, man. And I just look at my wife. I'm like, you got to take a picture. I was like, and you got to send it to the company and tell them what they did because they have to pay for this. I was like, this is. And I don't get mad. I make fun of it, right? I make fun of it. A couple of first words coming out of my mouth, and I'm like, make fun. My son's laughing. He's like, how does someone hit a light? I go, they close their eyes. The light's on. It's dark out. It's dark. There's light. We live in an area where there's not like light shining. That's why there's a lamppost there to give us light. So if you're out at night, see what you're doing. The best part was, this is the best part. When you come down our driveway, like you come into the driveway, to your left is the lamppost, bush, very shallow, like backing up. You don't want to go that way. Hence the lamppost and the bush. On the other side, there's a good 10 feet before the cattle fence starts, where if you move forward and then back up and then back, and you can get out. Or just back straight out. The idiot drivers don't get that. They're like, hey, there's 10 feet over there. 2 feet, a lamppost, and a bush. We're going to go there. So not only did he mess up the truck, but they have now paid for the repairs of your home. That's right. And because he harpooned his truck with my lamppost, it's definitely, when they go, it's not us, I'll be like, you might want to check the undercarriage of your car because I have a piece of it in my yard. Yeah. I have a piece of your bottom of your truck in my yard. I mean, if you can't drive it wasn't even a big truck. It's like a U-Haul, like the smaller U-Haul trucks, like a small moving van. Well, that was always there, sir. Yeah. Then you hold up the piece to it, and you're like, dun dun dun, fits perfectly. Were they stupid or drunk? I would hope just stupid. I would hope he's not drunk. Hopefully he was just stupid. But who knows? Go either way. And that's Mike's story here on the farm today. But the day didn't even start. Oh, I didn't get water this morning. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Was he young? I don't know. I was sleeping. I have no idea. I have no idea. I woke up with the sound of the crunching sound of my lamppost bending underneath his car or truck. All right. The first story today. I have a question for you guys. The thing above my head, right, on the screen. Do you like it better where it just says gaming news today? Or should I put the thing back up? I forgot to change it this morning, but I'm just asking. I could do this and just put the actual, or put the topics. Like, it's not really the topics, but that's what it is. You like the one with the logo? I just feel like it's too much of the logo. Like, they have the logo down here, logo here, and the thing, and the thumbnail, and then the bigger picture. I don't know. Maybe I'll come up with a different picture and put it up there. I like the thumbnails. Don't matter 30? Just asking. I'm just asking, Super Dave. I had the story with the Game Pass thing, and I can't find it now. Where was I? Was it on Twitter? That's IGN. Oh, here it is. I mean, we talked about the console yesterday. Well, we talked about the article a little bit yesterday, but there's more articles written today about it. All right. So let's start with this one. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of 30 NSG. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about Microsoft stop announcing Xbox console sales because it cares more about the content service. Now, we're trying to find a way for them to spend money with us, is what they quote was. It says Microsoft stopped announcing Xbox console sales some time ago, and the move most believe it was at least in part because it compared poorly to sales on PlayStation consoles and Nintendo Switch. But according to one Xbox executive, that was nothing to do with it. Now, obviously, everyone's going to call BS on that because they're going to be like, you just didn't want to sell because you're third place. But I kind of believe it because I've said it 5 years ago, 6 years ago. I said that they don't care about console sales. They don't care about console sales. They care about the Game Pass numbers at the time. And obviously, it's low Game Pass numbers, but still 30 million, right? That we know, 25 million, 30 million. And obviously, that's going to go up. Speaking of the Wells Fargo 2023 TMT Summit, Xbox Chief Financial Officer Tim Stewart insisted that Microsoft decided to quit publishing console sales because console sales alone do not paint the full picture of the health of Xbox business, right? About 6 or 7 years ago, we stopped giving console volume externally, he said. In the first, it was like, what are you doing? Your Xbox business and you're giving us consoles. That makes no sense. But as a really first point of us saying, no, it's about the content. About the content service. Our business is PXQ, the product of price and quality. More customers spending more money, and this is really how I think about our model. So when we talk about the content and service externally, that's our key performance indicator. And for the number of to go up to, and you need more games and you need more gamers to spend more money, and they're really focusing on with the internal teams as here's how it grows the business. Go bring us more users to find ways to make them to play. He says, quote, and it goes a little bit too. And then my last point here is about the business model. We're calling it business model optimization, but really business model diversity. And the gamer comes in and can subscribe to a Game Pass and can also buy a game digitally and can also have advertising to fund their games that way. And so, however, if they want to monetize where they're trying to find a way to them to spend money with us, then it's also seen as a very, very good declarant content and service landscape. So that is why the executive, now you and me can say BS, right? You're not telling the sales because you're not doing well. So it's sort of like when people hide the sub count, or don't show the comments, or tell you it's the best movie ever, but they don't tell you the sales numbers. They're just like, you just gotta trust us. I trust us, right? That's what Microsoft is doing here. Now, obviously, if it's coming from the executive, chief financial officer, and he says that that's the reason they stopped making the sales, showing the sales, I mean, you got to believe it, right? You got to believe it because that's what's coming from the actual the person that's in charge of Microsoft at that point. Microsoft, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, the reason that digital games are digital now, they just kind of lump them in, right? They just kind of lump them into that one number. So when they say that digital sales, it's everything digital. It's not just this one section inside for digital. It's all things that are digital. Microtransactions, the game sales itself, all games lumped into one thing, right? They're not looking at it as each thing separately and how much money it makes. They just lump everything together and say, this is what it made. And that's all that matters, like the bottom line. So, I don't know. I think look, Microsoft's not the only person that does this, right? This is all other companies that do the exact same thing. They just kind of lump it inside. All in one to kind of get by, right? That's just what it is. It's like fake it till you make it. Because if we don't know the actual numbers, then you can just assume what it is. And this is why they haven't shared the Game Pass numbers. Because if they share the Game Pass numbers, that is a confirmation if it's successful or not successful in the eyes of the public. But for them, they just know what the number is. And they're like, yeah, it's successful. We don't care if it's a specific number. We just need to know if the number that they're bringing in is making the money that we want to make. But these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. What do you think? Do you think that Microsoft CFO is full of it? Or do you believe them? Do you believe that this is what the reason that they don't tell you the console sales anymore? Let me know in the comment section down below. Please make sure you share, like, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching. Go on, Chief. With a terrible resolve. Travis says, so 6 or 7 years ago, when we're getting their asses kicked, has Xbox ever been in anything more than last place? Yeah, but you're looking at, and this is another example, right? The company that owns PlayStation is Sony. The company that owns Xbox is Microsoft. The last 7 years, has Microsoft suffered in any way, shape, or form? No, I think they've risen their value of their company, and they're a $1 trillion company. They're one of, I think, 3 or 4 $1 trillion companies. Okay, they're literally 10 times the size of Sony. Okay, so sure, is Sony doing it better in the console market? Yes. But are they doing better as a company of Microsoft? No. No, they're not. So in the small little war that's happening, or I'm sorry, the battle that's going on with the consoles, sure, they're losing that. But they're also winning because everyone uses the Azure cloud streaming. They're also winning because basically the computer that you're speaking on right now is an operating system that Microsoft owns, right? These are things that are facts, and why Microsoft is a very successful company. Regardless if you like them or hate them, they're successful at what they do. See, Xbox might be in third place, but Microsoft is 10 times the size of Sony, and Sony's not in third place. They're not in fourth place, fifth place, sixth place. I think they're like in 25th, maybe 30th place as a bigger picture of the companies. So you can have the console, but they have the overall. Here's what I think. Water says they don't want to announce it anymore because they aren't really moving consoles. We all know cloud gaming is the future, and they are just the leader in that, in my opinion, at the moment. Yeah, I mean, the only reason games come out and tell you that they sold 10 million copies or a movie sold $100 million in the weekend is to use it for hype, right? Let's take Sony, for instance, with the Spider-Man, right? They sold 5 million, right? But they came out with what, 3.8 2.1 million. No, it was 2.5 million in a certain period of time. In 1 day. It was 2.5 in 1 day. But they didn't tell you, because the last time they said Spider-Man sold 3.3 in 3 days. So using the 2.5, that was impressive for that 1 day, but then probably sales dropped off and it didn't surpass the 3.3 within the 3 days, right? And then it surpassed 5 million after the fact, and that's why they said it within 11 days. But it all depends on what and that's just, I'm not picking on PlayStation, that's the recent most one I remember, where the last time they said that Spider-Man was a very successful hit was 3.3 million in 3 days. And then this one came out 2.5 the first day, and they didn't tell you the sales on the third day because it was probably below the 3.3 million. But then they told you that it was 5 million sales in 11 days, right? And that's the way all companies do stuff. They'll only tell you if it's exciting for them, right? They'll only tell you if it's a big enough number so you go, wow, that's a lot, right? Oh, it must be good, right? And that's why they do the numbers that they do. All companies do it across the board in the entertainment business. Doesn't matter if it's video games, console sales, albums, movies. Doesn't matter. Television shows. 14 million people watched it. Mo says, in revenue and profit, I think we're doing just fine. Yeah, they're doing more than fine. Yeah, because the PC is carrying Xbox. I wouldn't even say the PC. There's so many different contracts that Microsoft has. You don't understand how big Microsoft is, Travis. There's divisions inside of Microsoft that you have no idea about that make billions of dollars for them. Water says, any company worth anything loves to announce things that are selling well. So no announces is to say it's bigger than just the consoles means your console sales aren't where they would like. Right. I mean, I would assume that more people, right? It's less money, right? It's less money. But right now, if you think about it, more people pay $10 a month or $17 a month than the actual own. There's more people that have Game Pass than have an Xbox. Think about that. There's more people that have Game Pass than that have Xboxes. So why do you need an Xbox? This will go into our next story, right? Sony and Nintendo are both above Xbox. Well, sure, there's always got to be a first place, second place, and third place. In that division, yeah, Xbox might be losing for consoles, but not in earnings. If someone's selling coffee mugs and their competitor's selling coffee mugs and the coffee that the other person's putting in their cup, which one's more successful? The person selling the coffee cup or the person selling the coffee? I like how Mo says we are like he's working for Microsoft. Yeah, that's what happens when people, they get the fanboyism. You know what I like doing? It's a sports analogy, right? The New England Patriots were undefeated, but the Giants beat them in the Super Bowl, right? No matter how many people always say, the Patriots got 7 Super Bowls, right? But I'm like, they never beat the Giants, right? That moment is good. Okay. That's how it is with Xbox. Might be losing the console war, right? Because PlayStation's been the best console for 7 years running. But Microsoft makes more money. Eclipse says, I'm just going to say Game Pass just got Remnant 2 and came out, 2 months ago. So apparently they're not doing too bad if they have the money to give to a big company like Gearbox. Now, that says two things, right? That means Remnant didn't sell very well. Like, it sold, but it probably didn't sell very well, right? They said that they want to put it out there first to get the game sales, which I agree with, okay? And then they're like, yeah, you know what? Let's get the money from Xbox. And Xbox is like, who wants to come in? Who wants some money? Christmas. What studio wants some money? You want some money? Here you go. You want some money? Here you go. Here's the money. Right? Microsoft to developers is like Oprah Winfrey. You get money. You get some cash. You want to come on Game Pass? We'll get you some. I hope they make a Series X all digital. Might not be cost effective for them to do that. I heard Remnant 2 didn't do well at all. I mean, that's why they went to Game Pass. We know the outcome. Look, if a game comes out at Game Pass day one, they wanted the money up front, right? So again, if Suicide Squad, because of the leaked documents from Activision Blizzard, okay, we saw that sheet of paper that said $250 million if Suicide Squad was day and date. That might still happen. If that happens, that's 3.5 million copies sold, okay, at $250 million, okay? Like 3.2, 3.5, whatever it is, right? That's what that is. Now, if a game comes out and it's not on Game Pass, and then a couple of months later it comes on Game Pass, you know that game didn't sell well. Because if it was selling well, it wouldn't go to Game Pass right away. Or that fast. Water says, Remnant 2 is one of those titles I wanted to play, but wouldn't pay full price for it. Thanks, Game Pass. That sounds like a commercial, Water. It's like, I wanted to play Remnant 2, but it just didn't have the cash for it. Because of Xbox Game Pass, I can play Remnant 2 now. Thanks, Game Pass. That's what it sounds like. I remember the time Oprah Winfrey bought everyone, her audience, a car. Yeah, you got a car. You got a car. This is what Xbox is doing right now, in my opinion. In my opinion. Okay? In my opinion, Xbox right now is sitting back and is that like father or uncle or rich aunt, whatever, right? Everyone knows the person I'm talking about. They know you need them. But they don't say anything. They're just like, they'll come to me. It's like the Godfather, right? Phil Spencer's like the Godfather in video game development right now. Because games are like, well, our game's not selling well. We need another 100,000, like, you know, purchases. I don't think we're going to get it. Hey, Phil, can we get on Game Pass? All you had to do was ask. All you had to do was ask. And they're like, there you go. Thanks, Uncle Phil. I appreciate it. Thanks for keeping our studio in business. Thanks for keeping our small independent studio in now, because you gave us, this is like another commercial. Now that Phil Spencer gave us money to be on Game Pass, we can make our next game. Thanks, Phil. Crowded House says Remnant 2 is on sale on Steam right now. Yeah, that's another reason. It shows you that it didn't sell well. It wasn't popular when it came out. Now, there's a lot to say why it didn't sell well. Did it come out the same time as other games? You know what I mean? Thanks, Mr. Spencer. If it was better than Elden Ring, it would have sold more or better. by your own PlayStation versus Microsoft logic, Remnant 2 is a mid-game. Yeah, 100%. Mid-game, not for the... It is perceived as a mid-game, right? People are like, I'm not really interested. I wasn't interested. I'm still probably not going to play it. It could be on Game Pass. I still won't play it because I'm not interested in the game. It's fall sale? Yeah, but the difference between the fall sale crowded and putting it on Game Pass means it didn't sell well. Those are facts. Outriders didn't sell well. Hence why it announced itself to go to Game Pass. Remember, 89 or below was trash. FromSoft has been paying for reviews for a long time. I mean, you can't say that unless it's confirmed. Just saying. You can't state it as fact if there's no fact to be found. If there's an actual fact trail of FromSoft paying for reviews, then sure. It's a like a rogue-like game, like Remnant. It's also like isn't it like sort of like a Tarkov type of game as well? Or am I missing that? Not Tarkov like a multiplayer, but the mechanics of it. The Force used a DLSS, made me refund. Let me use the native resolution. Outriders devs said that the Game Pass hurt them, though. Well, there's a difference between the contract that the company signed. So here's my speculation, not official, but you can piece together the puzzle, right? So People Can Fly had a deal with Square Enix. Okay. Square Enix, remember, they were promoting the game. They didn't promote it for at all until like November, and it was coming out in like February or March, right? That year, the following year. And they started promoting it, and they started doing those video documentary type of things where you were seeing Outriders. And the buzz wasn't really there for it, right? It wasn't really there for it. And there was no sign of it was coming to Game Pass. They were trying to get pre-orders. So November went by, December went by, January went by, and we didn't hear anything about Outriders. And then all of a sudden, miraculously, on February, I think it was like 2nd or something like that, they came out and said that People Can Fly, Square Enix, are bringing Outriders to Game Pass. And when they did that, People Can Fly were saying, please don't cancel your orders. Please don't cancel your orders. Okay? And Square Enix signed that contract. Square Enix signed that contract with Microsoft and Xbox, not People Can Fly. And this is the reason I think People Can Fly, they might have lost money on Game Pass because it hurt them, because that's what Square Enix did to People Can Fly. Otherwise, People Can Fly would not be working exclusively right now with making a first-party title game or exclusive title for Xbox. You know what I mean? If People Can Fly was hurt by Microsoft, why would they be signing a deal with them and working on a game together if Game Pass hurt them? Game Pass didn't hurt them specifically. It was what Square Enix did, and because of the way Outriders happened, Square Enix took the money up front and then didn't give it to People Can Fly. Square Enix made the money and screwed over People Can Fly. I stopped playing Outriders on PC because of the DLC, $40. And then people were upset about that game. They're like, oh, it's not a live service game. They told you it wasn't a live service game. Neutralizer says Remnant 2 was incredible. Might have been incredible, but didn't sell well. Yeah, like it literally. When did Remnant 2 come out? July 25th. 6 months. 5 months. Right? August, September, October, November, 4 months. Here it is. It's out. July 25th. Okay. Travis, what you're doing right now is because you love a game, you're blindly defending something because you liked it and you enjoyed it, doesn't mean that the game miraculously sold well. It didn't. If it sold well, then why is it still not just selling? Why did it come to Game Pass? Why would it need to come to Game Pass? If it was selling well, why is it coming to Game Pass? It's selling so well, they're like, you know what? Let's give it away for free. Let's just put it on a streaming service. People are ecstatic about this game. We're selling them like hotcakes. Then why are we going to Game Pass? Exactly, Eclipse. It's super popular. We're coming to Game Pass. It's so popular that we want to give it away to more people for less money. Of course it is to help out. Of course it is.
Hello, what have we here?
Appreciate that. Subscribe. It's not because, look, it's got great reviews. It's got 9 out of 10. I'm sure it's a wonderful game. Now take that out of the equation. They made a game, they sold a game. It didn't sell well. You might love it. It might be a fantastic game. It didn't sell well. These are facts. Game Pass, we would like to subsidize our game. Okay? Now, I don't know. Is there DLC for Remnant 2 that's coming out? Is there, and again, I'm asking, I don't know. Is there some sort of microtransaction, cosmetic-wise, inside of Remnant 2? They have a $10 DLC. Okay? First DLC launched 2 days ago, and no microtransactions. So there you go. They have a DLC. Okay? They have a DLC. Now they're giving the game away for the Xbox ecosystem. And they're like, hey, Remnant 1's on there. If you like Remnant 1, we have Remnant 2 as well. So play Remnant 1, a couple years old. Play Remnant 2. If you like it, they'll pay $10 to get the DLC. Now, in their brain is that the increase of people that were buying Remnant 2 has flattened out. Okay? And they're like, what can we do about this? Well, what about if we team up with Game Pass, give it to Game Pass? Okay? So now the entry fee is not any money out of pocket, okay, because they're already on Game Pass. And then those people will try out the game and go, you know what? This was a fun game. Maybe I'll purchase it. Now they get a, whatever it is, a 20% discount. Okay. And on top of the 20% discount, they also can go, oh, wow, this is really fun. Maybe I'll pay the $10 for the DLC. Voila. Jax82 says, did not expect both of them to drop in Game Pass. Yeah. What, wasn't Remnant at one point on Game Pass like a year ago and they took it off? I could have sworn Remnant, because I played it and I didn't own it. And I could have sworn it was on Game Pass at one point. Yeah. Yeah, a while ago. It was like 2 years ago or whatever when I played it. I was like, oh, this seems like a fun game. And it wasn't my cup of tea. That's why I wasn't interested in Remnant 2. Now, Remnant 2 is getting really good reviews. They made a better game than they did the first one around, right? And now, nobody's playing it. Because most people didn't like Remnant 1. So now they're like, here you go. We're giving you Remnant 1 back on Game Pass. We're giving you Remnant 2 on Game Pass. And if you like it, we got DLC that just came out. I did. Someone posted it in Discord. The blurry picture. Let me get a good one. Let me get a good one. Yeah, this is what's coming on to Game Pass. I don't know if they're all coming out. I know it says some are coming soon, some are already out. Right? There's people on the balconies screaming at Xbox. You guys suck. You're in third place. F you. And Microsoft's going, here you guys go. More games for the people that like games. And people are like, fuck you and your games. Your games suck. Oh, Remnant 2's out there? That's a good game. Oh, it's on Microsoft, though. I don't know. Super Dave says, fucking Goat Simulator. The most stupid sim I've ever heard of. My son played it, and he was absolutely having a... He didn't play Goat Simulator 3. I think he played Goat Simulator 1. And I've never heard my son laugh so hard. He's just, like, shooting his tongue out and grabbing stuff and doing just dumb stuff. Mo says, I told my son when he wanted to buy Remnant 2, don't get it. Insisted now it's on Game Pass. And I said, I told you so. He's like, oh, young Padawan, let me tell you something. Don't buy that game because it's coming to Game Pass. There is no 2. It's 1 and 3. There you go. The new Destiny 2 activity is pretty good. What do you have to do? You have to grab an orb. You have to throw it through something. Or are you shooting someone and then you have to throw something at them? What is the new event? What do you have to do? Is there a ball you have to slam? Is there a ball you have to throw? Is there what's the event? No, you pick up a laser and stop the shield and kill the thing. Oh, okay. Sounds amazing. Sounds amazing. Does the laser come out of a ball? And is the shield a thing where the laser has to go into? It's hard to explain. You start in an area with a booby trap. Booby trap. Booby trap. Definitely haven't done it 1,000 times. Then you go into the blind well. Oh, you go back to the blind well. You got to stand in an orb and then defend a thing. Does mini-me hump the freaking laser? Freaking laser beams. So on Game Pass that they announced, you got Far Cry 6, Remnant, From the Ashes. You got The Rise of Tomb Raider. You got Spirit of the North Star Enhanced Edition. You got Steam World Build. You got Tiny Hearts. You got While It's Tron's Hot. Oh, Iron's Hot. You got World War Z Aftermath. You got Clone Drone in the Danger Zone. You got Remnant 2. You got Goat Simulator 3 and Against the Storm. Now let's just say what? These games, let's just say they're in the bargain bin. $40? They're at GameStop, right? $40? Some are newer games. 12 games there. 12 games this month. Just going to one store and buying one of these games on a used price is like 2 months worth of Game Pass. Far Cry 6 alone is worth the price for the month. Rise of Tomb Raider is worth the price alone. Okay? Remnant 2 is worth the price alone for the month. Just those 3 games. You would have... You could literally pay for Game Pass for 7 months, okay? And just play one of those games. It's insane, the amount of value. It's insane. People be like, well, I don't really want to play those shit games. Okay. Tomb Raiders are fantastic. The remake of the series is a fantastic little series. I mean, Laura's she's a psychopath. She has no remorse when she's murdering tons of people, but it's a fantastic game. Travis, it's really funny seeing you argue with someone about a Bethesda game. Well, how many hours? How many hours did you have in the game that you didn't like? It's really hard to take it serious. What did you just get done playing with Bethesda's mid games? I can't take you serious. It's like you're yelling at somebody with like whipped cream across your face. How many hours do you have in Destiny 2? When I was playing it? When I loved it? When I loved it? But I haven't touched it in 3 years. See, the difference between you and I is when I don't like something, I don't play it. I don't sit here and talk shit about a game and put 400 hours in. How many hours in a game did you have that you didn't like? All I'm saying is, it looks a little strange. You talking bad about a company that you put hundreds of hours in. Crowd says, at least at the very least, they did not skimp out on the rewards this season. They actively very rewarding for further you get. Is it something that it feels like, and I'm asking Crowded, does it feel like it's something that's undertuned or overtuned, and do you think they'll change it down the line, or do you think this is more of a gesture because the final shape is delayed till June? Yes. So you do feel that Bungie is making it more rewarding because they announced that the game is delayed till June. Not sure. It feels though. Because Starfield's not on PlayStation. I truly believe that's a lot of people that hate on stuff like that because of that. They added Fireteam scaling to the game. Fireteam scaling. Did they put the remember when they said they were going to put the LFG into the game, like the matchmaking thing? Did they put that in yet? It's been 5 years, right? Did they put that? Did they put that in the game? Is crossplay activated on Suicide Squad's beta, or is that also something that's not allowed to talk about due to NDA? I don't know personally, but I think the crossplay is opened up. I think they said that in a tweet or something, that the crossplay is. I think that's one of the tests that they're doing for the test itself. Yeah, I don't know firsthand if it's opened up, but I do recall them saying that the crossplay. That's true. I don't know firsthand. I haven't. I didn't come across anything. Let's see if we can look it up. It doesn't say. Yes, there will be support for cross-platform play. Yes. 1 hour ago, yes. This test will support cross-platform play. This is from DC Game Support. So this is the DC Game Support. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League Close Alpha Tech Test. Frequently asked questions. What is Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League Close Alpha Tech Test? The intentions of this test is to stress out online participation to launch Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Is the closed alpha tech test a beta? And Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League Alpha Tech Test is technical test to test the game's online infrastructure and will not be representative of the full and / final experience. When is the closed? Oh, we don't need that. Which content is available for the closed tech? No, the game is still in development, and its test is only representative of a small specific section of the campaign. It will not be representative of the full final experience. Test confidential, yes. Players closed alpha. Closed alpha test. Internet connection. Close alpha. Players redeem their digital code. Friend invite. How many friends can play? Redeem more. Voice available. Latest information. Friends not redeemed. No. No codes can only be used once after the code is redeemed by an account. It's no longer redeemable. Invite your friends. I would assume based on, I mean, it's official that they said it, but yeah, yes, the test will support cross-platform. I would assume because they're giving friend invites out, then yes, the cross-platform would happen. Conan greater than Fallout 76. Simple fact. No, that's not a fact. See, so the difference is that if you're a Conan fan, you would like Conan. But if you are a Fallout fan, you wouldn't like Conan because you would like the post-apocalyptic world better. So, yeah. Hence why there's different IPs for different things. Percentage-wise, on PC, Steam charts. Conan's all-time peak, 53,000. 10,000 playing as of 17 minutes ago. Fallout 76 got 32,000 all-time peak, which is about 20,000 more, right? 20,000, or I'm sorry, 20,000 less than Conan, and it's at 6,000. So percentage-wise, Fallout 76 is a better game because more people are playing this one, but there's more people that had it at some point. But then this is also on Gamepass, and so is Conan, but you don't have those numbers. Fifth Horseman says, I had a pay-to-win bundle with 3 exotics, even though the old people were up in arms about it, so they removed it. Understandably, it's slippery slope, and it was $15, so greed's... Oh, did they do something inside Destiny for that, Horseman? You paid for 3 exotics for $15, and people got pissed off? I never understood why they did that for guns, especially since they were attached to PvP. Yeah, I'm going to be jumping in after stream this morning. I'm going to play for like a couple hours. I saw some video of that. We're going to watch a video of the Banisher in a little bit. It's weird, that game. That's let me see if I can find it. Do we have a... Did someone post a link of that game in... You guys put it in game trailers? Is it called Project LLL? I could have sworn one of you posted something Oh, yeah. I got it. I got it. I'm just going to show you visuals of this. Actually, how long is this video? Let's watch.
Do you remember Project?
We weren't going to do this, but why not? Because he covers it.
LLL. Now, I'd forgive you for not remembering due to the name alone, so don't sweat it, but regardless, first revealed a year ago, last November, this is an upcoming third-person sci-fi looter shooter, and is said to be the latest contestant stepping into the ring with the hopes of earning the title of Destiny Killer. Whether it does so or not, probably not, doesn't really matter. Project LLL will at least be joining the ranks of The Division, Warframe, Outriders, Borderlands, and Defiance, all games I really enjoyed. Generally speaking, if you present me with even a decent looking looter shooter, I will want to give.
I mean, I'll be honest, just off of what I'm seeing for the first 35 seconds, I'm intrigued.
The game ago. I just really like this genre. Now, it's been a long time since we last talked about Project LLL, so here's a bit of a refresher. They are officially referring to this as an open world MMO looter shooter. It will have seamless exploration, so they say, with no loading screens between zones, although we have some conflicting information with today's update, but we'll get to that. And it'll take place in an alternate reality version of Seoul, South Korea. This will include a mixture of city, wilderness, outdoor, and indoor environments, all with a touch of sci-fi and fantasy and some other dimensional stuff that's going on here. All of these spaces will be full of an assortment of enemies, primarily this faction of cyborgs and mechs, along with your typical MMO open world activities, events, points of interest, and other players, because yes, MMO is in the description of this game. So the game will have PvE with things like public events, dungeons, and raids, as well as PvP, offering both competitive modes and open world fights, so they say. Besides having third-person shooting with the standard assortment of weapons, they've also got a bunch of high-tech themed abilities. We've seen things like invisibility cloaks, scouting drones, gravity grenades, missile launchers, aimbot ultimates, jetpacks, and bullet deflecting.
I'm getting like I'm definitely getting a Destiny slash Warframe slash Anthem vibe, right? With like mixed with like Division. You know, it's kind of weird looking.
Bubbles that remind me a lot of Destiny. Vehicles will play a big role as well, with both land and air variety, as well as what appear to be these Titanfall-esque mechs that fall from.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
The sky and can be manually controlled by the player. So those are the basics of Project LLL. Now, after the reveal last November, they had some follow-up press tour in December, but then after that, things went pretty quiet for a while. This changed, however, just the other week with us getting a brand new trailer and about 30 to 40 minutes of raw gameplay footage from a live stream, and a bunch of really interesting takeaways here with us getting a pretty clear picture of what this game is all about. But before we get into those details, as you probably know, the holidays are approaching, which means if you're anything like me, it's time to start thinking of gift ideas. One thing that might make a good gift for someone you know is the sponsor of today's video, Ridge Wallet.
Ridge Wallet.
Ridge is having one of their biggest sales of the off a Ridge stuff here to talk event put on by NCSoft, where they showcase a lot of their in-development projects. So the trailer opens up with a cinematic of what looks to be a player suiting up while talking to another character before dropping into the world. We see this aerial shot.
It's a pretty big map
Of the city, which showcases both weather and time of day. Starts off sunny and then it gets to clear before a rainstorm rolls in, and then transitioning into the evening and finally a sunrise. So it looks like we will have dynamic time of day and weather in this game. I gotta say as well, just from these shots, the visuals look really good. This game is being built on Unreal Engine 5. Also, I do believe this is the first time we've seen anything.
Yeah, it looks a lot like the Anthem armor.
outside of the cityscape, which looks pretty good. I really do hope they utilize some of these wilderness locations because yes, it is visually appealing. There's a bunch of walking cinematic shots with the player moving through the woods, several rundown parts of the city, and even on top of the sports arena before they start sprinting, and the trailer then shifts into a showcase of various bits of combat and gameplay. We see that the player has this little boost pack which appears to activate whenever they are sprinting, which is a nice little touch. There's quite a lot of both third and first person gunplay here. I will say the shooting looks pretty good from this showcase, much improved over the last one. I also want to point out that the audio here sounded pretty solid. Various weapons were on display, including ARs, SMGs, LMGs, shotguns, grenade launchers, and even a minigun at one point. We gotta look at some gameplay inside of buildings as well. This was a really nice thing to see. Usually with a lot of open world games, you don't get too many interiors. It's pretty taxing on the whole processing, and usually it can have a big impact on performance of these games. So I'm happy to see there are at least some interiors, although we don't know to what extent. We do get some showcases of the cover system. We've seen this in prior trailers. We get some more examples of that. There's also a bunch of shots of vehicle play, so we see players taking off in a helicopter, and
my brain, Super Dave, is like a thousand things are shooting through it right now, right? Like it definitely feels like Anthem, Outriders, Destiny. Like I'm looking at certain things. When he's jumping in, it's like a BR type of thing, and when I'm looking at other things, it feels like, I don't know. My brain's very confused.
One of them being able to hang onto the side and shoot out of it. There's also third-person perspective of someone driving the helicopter, flying the helicopter, player aiming out of the side of a Jeep, and then we also get a good look at these Titanfall-like mechs.
And the Titan seems pretty interesting.
We saw this in the original gameplay trailer. We got more of it here. Now, also in this trailer, we got a sneak peek of what at first glance almost seems like a battle royale mechanic. We get footage of a character dropping in from above the map with an overhead aerial view of all these different locations and then getting to pick and choose where they land. Now, I don't believe this is a BR.
It feels like it's a BR.
Exactly. I think this.
I played a closed beta for this game. I think it was this one. You don't know if it was this one? I can see it left a big impression on you, Paul.
It's a good chance this is just how they handle their respawn mechanic, which was further confirmed with the stuff we're about to get into. Other stuff seen in this trailer, though, we got a few clips of what are clearly item indicators, these little square boxes pointing to items on the ground, but look to be things like attachments, ammunition, and even loot chest. Some of these are also color-coded, depending on the item's rarity. And we got some clear examples of what are world quests or events with markers and beams of light pointing into the sky and players interacting with various objects in the environment. A few of the abilities we saw on display in this trailer included smoke grenades, we saw shoulder-mounted rockets, invisibility, shield bubbles, and shield walls.
Let me ask something. Obviously, at the simplistic version of this, right? What's the difference of what I'm doing in this game right here? I understand it's an MMO, but I don't know anything about this character. I don't know anything about the world it's in. It's not really drawing me in because it's right now it feels very generic. Okay. Now, obviously, people are gonna look at me and go, "Wow, how are you comparing this?" But I'm playing a shooter. Now I'm playing Suicide Squads, let's say. Okay. Now I know the characters, I know the city it's in, right? And I'm shooting enemies just like I'm shooting, and I'm receiving loot and stuff. Do you see what I'm saying? Like it just feels. This might be a fantastic game, but nothing draws me in. It looks very impressive. It looks very impressive, but it also looks very generic. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, when you play a certain game, there's certain games that have its own identity, and then there's games that come out, and then it doesn't have an identity. Like, yeah, it looks futuristic. It looks like I'm playing Mass Effect inside of Destiny with Warframe and Outriders. It feels like I have to use this. I feel like I have to use every other game to explain what I'm seeing here instead of going, holy shit, did you see that? Look at the... Like, I'm not impressed. I don't know if it's because of the Unreal Engine 5. Maybe it's because I'm old and congratulate, just a bitter skeptic person. I don't know. Like, I'm just looking at it and nothing seems impressive to me. It seems good, but I'm not like, dude, get this day one. It doesn't sell me. It doesn't sell me for some reason. Am I the only one?
There was some kind of a freeze bomb or ability.
Paul says soulless. Just another Destiny to me, Super Dave says. Paul says it's awful. Nothing about this game is good. It's not you. Yeah, I don't know what it is.
There was back-mounted artillery cannons that look very powerful, rooting you in place when you shoot them, and a few examples of players scanning for...
Like, for instance, I'm getting more Division vibes off of this than anything. Right? But remember when we saw Anthem? And they show the Colossus, and he shoots the rockets out of his back, and it blows up in the background. And now I'm looking at this, and it's like he's shooting rockets out of his back, and, you know, it looks cool. Anthem looked cooler.
For enemies. And speaking of enemies, a few different enemy types, what look to be these regular...
This guy that the main character that we've been watching right now reminds me of like the Ranger a little bit.
Like cyborgy grunts. There are some tougher elite versions. We saw enemies climbing on the side of buildings. We saw helicopters that drop off loads of enemies. We saw enemy controlled mechs, and at one point what looked to be a pretty large boss that dropped out of the sky. And then finally, as the trailer wrapped up, they go into this like paranormal otherworldly stuff, showcasing a character walking through the subway system.
Now it's like Dead Space.
With these weird, like, infected, otherworldly alien-looking monsters. This was also teased in some of the prior footage of this game. It seems pretty clear there's going to be some sort of fantastical elements of play. I guess beyond the fantastical nature of the rest of it. Okay, so that was the trailer. Trailer was about 5 minutes. It did give us a decent showcase, but, you know, it's also highlighted and highly hand-selected and all of that stuff. We actually got to see a bunch of raw gameplay as well fairly recently. As part of G-Star, they hosted a live stream where we got somewhere...
If you're going to be a generic looter shooter, you have to have an IP that I like. But that's the selling point, though. And I'm being serious. If this is the same exact game, Eclipse, but you take this and put a IP that you know about, it would be completely different. You would be way more hyped for this game. Now, obviously, Destiny didn't have a hype, but the hype that Destiny had was because of Bungie, and Bungie made Halo, and Halo was beloved by everybody. So when Bungie said they're coming out with another game, and it was Destiny, that was the sell. You didn't know anything about Destiny, but you knew about the developer, and that was the selling point. They made Halo, so this has got to be good, right? When you're a studio like this and you come out with a game like this, it just looks very generic and there's nothing attached to it.
Around 45 to 60 minutes of raw gameplay. Now, this was commentated, but it was in Korean, so I unfortunately don't know exactly what they were saying, but just by watching the footage, it was pretty clear what we can expect from this game, at least in this current build, in this current iteration. Now, before we really jump into walking through this stuff, I just want to warn you, the footage you're about to see is like super potato quality because it was picture-in-picture with a bunch of live stream stuff like around it and cameras of the people who are playing. So we're looking at a stream, which is already pretty low quality with a fairly low bit rate, and then a shrunken portion of the gameplay of the screen was actual gameplay, which I will enlarge so that we can focus on the gameplay. But yeah, it's going to be pretty rough looking quality for that reason, because of how it was presented and recorded and how I'm sharing it with you. But that stuff aside, let's talk about what we saw, because this is actually pretty cool and some interesting things that have left me a little more hopeful for Project LLL than I have been in the past. The gameplay starts out with us seeing a player starting out by dropping from the sky, just like we saw in that.
I do think it's cool. The verticality of the buildings, right? Like, first thing in my head when you land on the ground, can I go into these buildings? How many buildings can I go in? Can I fight within these buildings? Can I fight on top of these buildings? Are they just there as like background or you know, like structures?
That gameplay trailer, and as I initially thought, it just does seem like this is the spawn in and respawning mechanic in this game. Now, one interesting note here is you can see what clearly appears to be
there's a border, like your zone that you're in.
From the get-go, some sort of parameters for the play space, or at least parameters for where the player can drop. As you notice, this purple box that surrounds the city where the player is dropping in from. Now, upon landing, he starts clearing out groups of enemies just using his basic ranged weapon and some abilities. We also see this dodge skill in action, which is sort of like a short-range dash or teleport. At one point, we see him cycling through a list of abilities and is actually able to swap which one is...
That looks like Anthem.
active in one of 3 slots that do appear on the bottom right of the UI. Now, after fighting above ground for a few minutes, the player then walks into this parking garage, interacting with some sort of a beacon. I just assume this is a quest objective, basically. After this completes, he heads back up above ground, and in doing so, comes across a couple of other players. Now, they don't appear to actually be like grouped up in a party, or at least there were no UI indications on the screen that would imply that there was a party going on.
Yeah, I said that earlier, Quintar. It definitely has like a Division feel to it.
Regardless, though, either way, while above ground, throughout the rest of the demo, this trio of players sticks together, doing a bunch of fighting and clearing out objectives. Basically, just moving from one location to another, completing tasks, which most of the time have them interacting with like a computer or laptop or some sort of machinery, while also killing an assorted mix of basic and elite enemies and the occasional boss. And this was the really good stuff here because it gave us just a nice extended look at, again, what was raw gameplay. The gunplay is about what you expect. There's really not much to write home about here. It does seem well done enough, and it sounded good enough as well. Just decent looking for a third-person shooter. We also saw a few abilities on display, like the back-mounted rockets. We saw a few examples of players using the cryo grenades to freeze enemies. There did also appear to be other grenades, including frag and Molotov. We saw group heals with players placing around like this AoE heal that people could just walk into. And we also saw a few examples of players using the shield bubble to prevent damage, usually because either they
Yeah, problem with another game like this. Let's say it comes out next year. Let's say it comes out 2 months before Star Wars Outlaws. I'm done with this, right? I won't even dive into this because I would rather have an IP that I know and have backstory on than to dedicate, especially if this is an MMO, right? Because the dedication for this is going to take way longer than I want to put in.
They were low on health, or because they wanted to not get interrupted while interacting with a computer, which would take like a few seconds basically to complete the interact animation. Now, beyond the basics of them just walking through the city, going to these different points of interest, and I gotta say,
it almost feels like they have a skin over Division.
as well, a lot of really cool spots in the city. They had like construction facilities. There was a lot of the outdoor environment, like trees and bushes and shrubbery that was like sprouting up through the city. Lots of broken down buildings and stuff. Just some neat locations. It's a nice looking city to walk through from what they showed us. But yeah, the trio of players walked around, they shot things, they interacted with objectives.
Called Project LLL.
And from this, there were a few noteworthy moments besides that basic core loop. So at one point, we saw players actually looting by kicking open the trunk of a car, at which point it spit out like a bunch of currency, ammunition, and I believe some gear as well. There was a point where they approached a helicopter pad, and that looked to trigger this event. Sirens started going off. The player then interacted with a terminal, after which loads of helicopters fell in, starting dropping enemies for them to fight. And then after taking them out, they actually stole one of the helicopters, jumping in and then taking off, flying it away towards another objective. We also saw them engage with what appeared to be a boss, during which the player died and got kicked back to some sort of a lobby. And here is where I basically got the confirmation that yes, those drop pods are the game's respawn mechanic. When you die, you go back into the drop pod, you redeploy falling from the sky, and you get to choose where you want to land. And in this particular instance, while they were fighting like this boss mech, the player decided to land on the roof of a nearby building. Like, super mega brain play there. Good job, dude. They gave the boss a go for a little while, making a few attempts, but it was evidently too tough for them to take out. And at that point, they wrapped up the first part of the live stream. So they took a little break, they did some interviews, and then jumped back into the game. I was wondering if this was going to be, them like showcasing something new and different, like a new game mode, but it appeared to basically be more of the same. They dropped in, picked a landing spot, started shooting enemies, moving around, collecting loot, and completing objectives. But during this second window, there were a few other interesting things. For one, at one point, we saw the player summon in one of those Titanfall-esque mechs.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
In which they actually climbed in and used it for several minutes. It had a few different weapon options. There was a basic assault gun, but also what appeared to be rockets mounted on both shoulders.
Now it feels like Division with mechs.
While in this mech, they were just absolutely obliterating and tearing through groups of enemies. A helicopter came down at one point and they like destroyed it in under a second, so this thing was clearly very powerful. They also rescued an NPC in distress. It would appear to just be kind of hanging out there. They walked up, interacted with it. It rewarded, I believe, experience and some items and currency. There was a very tough elite at one point that we saw the player actually chain CC by freezing them with those cryo either grenades or abilities, but he froze the tough enemy and then started targeting these weak points on the side of like its armor and its back, and then shooting them broke away these armor pieces. That reminds me a lot of what they did in like the Division.
That doesn't seem very difficult. He's just literally
in Division 2, slowly broke away the armor pieces until eventually there was no armor left and they were able to quickly take the enemy out. And then at the very, very end of the play session, tons of enemies started rolling in and some big event appeared to happen. There was a big warning on the screen that before cutting to a cutscene of rockets blowing up some large nearby structure. Again, I'm not entirely sure what happened. Maybe they finished a quest, or maybe there was just like the final way to wrap up the demo, more or less. Not exactly sure because, again, unfortunately, I don't speak Korean, so I couldn't tell what they were saying to describe what was going on. And that was pretty much it. Now, I will say, after sitting down and watching this nearly hour of raw gameplay footage, overall, I'm actually fairly impressed, at least a lot more so than I was expecting. My expectation level was somewhere in the middle, especially considering this is an NCSoft title. I didn't have particularly high hopes, but watching gameplay in action, seeing it play out, it seems to be shaping up to be a decent looking open world.
It seems very grindy to me.
Third-person shooter. Now, I didn't really get a good sense of any MMO elements because it did appear to just be a group of 3 players. If anything, it seems almost more shared world, but watching this raw gameplay did leave me more hopeful. It is better than what I was expecting. No, it didn't blow me away. If anything, I will say that the world felt a little flat. Like, beyond the enemies that spawned in, the entire play space was really, really static. There wasn't much movement or life to the world itself. Now, yes, it's like an apocalypse and the things are blown up and dead, but if they could breathe some more life into the play space, that would be really great, because it just felt like static landscape and monster boxes that spawned in enemies, and that's more or less what it felt like. Also, the event variety was pretty lacking. They were interacting with terminals, doing the helicopter thing, and the mechs. That was like the 3 things that ever happened in that entire hour of playtime. And I will say as well, it doesn't seem very seamless open world with that large purple barrier. In fact, during the second portion of the stream, it was pretty clear that they couldn't cross it. The players at one point...
What? Couldn't cross the purple thing? Oh, tile's too small. Oh, my goodness. Oh, they've done a Starfield on us. Oh, there's a barrier. Oh, the tile too small.
Walked right up to the barrier, and it was a straight up wall. They couldn't go beyond that large.
There goes the hopes for that game.
Seamless open world thing with no loading screens doesn't seem to be exactly accurate. Maybe this was a restriction of this build for this live stream. I don't know, because again, I don't speak Korean, so if they made note of what that was and why it was there, I would have completely missed it. So I'm just hoping that's the case, but I'll also add as well, I was a little concerned.
Oh, it's never going away, Mo. It's the tile too small is never going away.
Just in the gameplay trailer.
But I need a vehicle to get across it.
There was pretty clearly some big frame rate.
It's so small, I need a vehicle.
And performance issues from what they showed, like in those 5-minute gameplay trailers and that initial 9-minute gameplay trailer. But this live stream, things were running smooth as butter. Like, it did look really good. I don't think I even saw any frame drops in the entire hour of gameplay, so I was pretty impressed with that. And yeah, the game certainly, at the very least, looks good enough for me to want to check it out and give it a look when the time comes. With the added disclaimer, once more, that yes, this is an NC...
There better be no load screens, Paul. That's all I'm saying.
Soft game, so we should expect all of the monetization. Every type of monetization.
Hold on, I missed what he said.
Give it a look when the time comes. With the added disclaimer, once more, that yes, this is an NCSoft game, so we should expect all of the monetization. Every type of monetization. You just assume that it's going to be in this game. But beyond that, yeah, I'll give it a shot, because like I said, I like looter shooters. You guys know I'm a sucker for MMOs. I at least need to check them out, even if it's for a brief time. Now, as of now, Project LLL is slated for release on both PC and console at some point in 2024. No quarter or window or month or actually day given at this point, but yes, they are saying 2024, and hopefully we get some sort of beta testing prior to that to give the game a look. But that is going to do it. That's the update for Project
Do I speak Korean? No, I barely speak English. No, Force Gaming doesn't speak Korean. Make sure you guys check out Force Gaming. Give them a like. I like Force Gaming. Because every game that comes out from here on out, especially PlayStation games, are going to hear about the tiles being too small. Any game. I'm not even making it about a PlayStation thing. I just want the same. I want the same energy level. Mo, anybody that criticized any game for having tiles has to criticize any other game that has boundaries, load screens. I want the same energy level. Remember, though, the tiles in Starfield are the size of Skyrim, and the tiles in other games or barriers and walls for things are not even close to that. Water says, from what I may or may not have played, the game may or may not be trying out as solidified itself as a day one buy for me. I'm going to try it, 72-hour head start. I don't know what game you're speaking of. I don't know what game you're speaking of. But if I did, I would also agree. I would also agree. Oh, you're not sure if he stated it 20 times. Yeah. Sarge says, anybody hit the wall inside of Starfield besides trying to hit it? I love the fact, it'll never get old. The tiles are too small, but I need a vehicle to get across because it's boring. And they're like, well, if I have a vehicle, I'm going to hit the wall. If you try to explore in Destiny, the game kills you. It's very true. Very true. Yeah, Mo. It's funny. You believe tiles? There's barriers. Maps are so tiny. Can I get a vehicle? Not because the map's too big. It's just because I want to get across the map that's so small faster. I have a cool mod in Starfield where on the planet, I can call my ship, takes off, and lands beside you. Fantastic, Paul. Right? Fantastic. I mean, I can't wait for mods and stuff to do a bunch of cool stuff in Starfield. I got two more things I want to do. Two more things I want to talk about. We got Microsoft wants Game Pass on PlayStation and Nintendo. Amazing. I've said this for years. I don't work for Microsoft. I don't want to work for Microsoft. Right, Z? It's so boring. Why are you trying to find a boring porter? Go play the game. Exactly. Exactly. So let me get this. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of 30 NSG. On today's show, we're going to be talking about Microsoft wants the Game Pass on PlayStation and Nintendo. Now, Tim Stewart, the CFO of Xbox, has announced plans for Microsoft to introduce Game Pass to every screen, such as longtime competitors PlayStation and Nintendo, as reported by VGC. Other potential screens include smart TVs, mobile devices, too, and the mobile gaming scene is often underestimated by casual players, and Microsoft Game Pass would certainly benefit from further mobility. TVs are more a niche area, but still convenient for sure. More of a niche area for TVs? Really? Interesting. Now, I've been saying for years on this podcast, on this show, in these morning streams, on my Let's Play streams, that Microsoft is not trying to compete with PlayStation for consoles. I said they're trying to get Game Pass on as many screens as possible. I keep getting pushback of people. This is before the Activision deal was even announced. This is before anything was announced. They said there's no way they're going to let that happen. And I said, yes, they will. Okay. Now, this doesn't say they are, but I'm telling you, it's going to happen. All of this is meant to improve margin expansion, and this would also open the door to a usual amount of freedom in the industry. It's possible that Microsoft availability would also prove to be some good offense against the competition either way. Naturally, name-dropping the competitors was surely a surprise. It's a gesture of good faith following the Activision deal as Microsoft continues to build as much trust as possible. However, it remains to be seen if Microsoft will stay on the path years after the transitionary period. This has been heavy emphasis on changing strategy. If successful, Microsoft could set a compelling trend, and it would be interesting if PlayStation, Nintendo, or other services would follow suit. But it's also unclear just how PlayStation and Nintendo fans would respond. These consoles each feature highly distinct franchise players often commit to favorite consoles for exclusives that fit their playstyle. Now, the Game Pass has been a bit divisive as of alternating their tier models and pricing. However, it does have a strong library and remains to be an effective tool discovering both new titles and underrated gems. Indie games have also been an incredibly opportunity to shine through the Game Pass day one launch, since it's also a useful feature. Although Nintendo's pricing is back catalog and retro games, it's still a tough deal to compete with. So look, again, I've been saying that, can you imagine, like, why should Xbox go out and make a mobile device so you can play Xbox when there's people that make mobile devices, Steam Deck, like the Switch, right? Like any other handheld device, and let them, they already have the market, right? They already have a mobile market. Why make another one to separate the player base more when you could just get your games on that device? Now, what's even better is, sure, you could make your games and put them on like Nintendo, right? But if you just get Game Pass, okay, and you put Game Pass on the Switch, put Game Pass on those other devices, if you put Game Pass on PlayStation, and then you, just like Ubisoft Plus, right? You could get Ubisoft Plus and EA Play on other consoles. What's the difference? Well, the difference is that EA doesn't make a console. Microsoft does, okay? And that's why there's this battle going on of Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox, good or bad, who will win the war, right? But if Xbox didn't have a console and was just a Sega, was just another company that was just trying to sell games, then there would be no problem, right? They would just throw them on that. But because they're in consoles, and Xbox is like, we don't even care. Buy a console, don't buy a console. Buy a television, play it on your mobile phone. Play it on any device you want. We don't care. We're just trying to sell software. And I don't understand how this is a, like, mind-boggling thing to hear, considering that's how Microsoft succeeded in life, okay? They were making PCs and decided to make the operating system to put on all devices so you could just be a Microsoft user, okay? So now they're doing the exact same thing with Game Pass. They're taking Game Pass and they're trying, they would like to, put it on Nintendo. And Nintendo's like, well, we don't want it. It's like, well, let's look at the pros and cons. Okay, that people buy Nintendo Switch because they want Nintendo. They want Mario, they want Zelda, and they can get that if they buy a Switch. But they're also like, all right, well, I'm also going to buy an Xbox. But if I'm playing on Xbox, then I'm not playing on my Switch because time is time. But if I have a Switch and I can play Game Pass on my Switch, I'm buying the device from Nintendo, and I'm playing it on the device that I have. So Nintendo makes money off of the device. I'm staying on your Switch. And on top of that, I'm playing Xbox games, and you're getting a percentage of these games, of money-wise, on your service. So if they set up a deal where Game Pass is on the Switch, and your monthly payment of $10, $12, $17, whatever it is, they can make a percentage go towards them and be like, yeah, monthly you get a percentage if they play Game Pass games, right? This is more money, and Microsoft doesn't have to make a mobile device. Nintendo doesn't lose out the person's time because they're staying actually on the Switch. It's a win-win. Same with PlayStation. Your friends want to play games with each other. Hey, Timmy, you want to play? No, I'm on PlayStation. There's no cross-play. Sorry, bud. See you on the next one, right? Like, they're back and forth on who can play. If PlayStation, you can download Ubisoft Plus, you can download EA Play. Well, why can't you download Game Pass and play games? Okay? You still make a percentage of money. You're still doing the stuff. So remove Game Pass, right? Remove Game Pass. Now I'm putting Call of Duty. It's on PlayStation. People are playing on the PlayStation for Call of Duty. Well, Microsoft owns that now. They're paying money to the big bad Xbox. What's going to happen, right? Like, gamers shouldn't care where you play, and developers shouldn't care where you play. Now, the companies that make the consoles care because they want to sell more consoles. Well, one of the three companies doesn't care about selling consoles. They just want you to get on their subscription service, just like Ubisoft Plus, just like EA Play, and all the other streaming services that are out there. But these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. We're trying to hit 2,000 subscribers. Hit that subscribe button down below. Hit that like button. Let me know in the comment section what you think of this story, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. All right. Why is it a big deal right now? As Xbox makes shit games, why everyone waiting to them to come to third party? Boggles my mind, obviously. We make great games and everybody wants. Well, I'm a cookie. Who says, gonna take Diablo. Take here. You all have TVs, right? Right. They stopped making consoles only 7 year games. They stopped making console only games 7 years ago for reasons. I think it will hit Switch, but no way the hell it ever makes on PlayStation. I never say never, Rose. I guarantee you, as long as the deal is good, they will sign a deal. If Sony's not afraid of Microsoft, then what's the problem? Right? If PlayStation is the most popular system, that's not going to change. You don't have to buy a PlayStation to play Game Pass if you're a PlayStation guy. EA Play, Ubi don't have third-party games on the subservice? No, but they can make a deal where Game Pass games. It's very simple, right? On Ultimate Game Pass, you can play PC games and you can play Game Pass games. On the console, you can play this game or that game. If you only have Ultimate, you can't play EA Play, right? So if you have regular Game Pass, you can't play EA Play. But if you have Game Pass Ultimate, you can play EA Play. So 100%, they could take a Game Pass app, put it on PlayStation, and you can only play the first-party titles of Xbox. Very simple, right? They can make what you can play or can't play. It's very simple. They have a switch on the back end, right? Who has access to this? Well, if you're on PlayStation, you can only play the first-party titles on Game Pass on PlayStation, right? Quantum Break was the first game they put everywhere. Quantum Break was Strange One. It was the first cross-buy game before Play Anywhere. Why would Sony players say we when they are talking about Sony games? It's true. It's true. PlayStation doesn't want that because they're trying their own service. Why put a better service on their system? I don't know if it's about a better service. It's just getting those games on the service, right? And Microsoft could be like, again, I'm just throwing stuff out there. They could be like, okay, we'll put Starfield, but you can only play Starfield on Game Pass, and you have to put Game Pass on PlayStation, right? If you want Elder Scrolls 6, we're not selling it separate to PlayStation. You have to get it through Game Pass, and Game Pass is able to play on PlayStation. You can only pay $10 a month on Game Pass to play it if you're on the other system. I would be surprised if Game Pass comes to PlayStation. I think it's more likely that Microsoft will just publish their games on PlayStation. Microsoft's not interested in selling games. They're interested in selling Game Pass. What does Sony get from it? They get people to stay on their system. Time is time. 24 hours in a day. They get to make that extra 30%. They get to take a cut of everything that's there. I don't think they're afraid. I just think it's a Japanese company and they're stubborn. Plus bad blood after Activision deal. Most businesses don't care. They're not people. They're entities. And they want to make money. The problem is if they have to play Xbox first party through a cloud, as there's no native PlayStation 5 version, so not the optimal way to play. Doesn't have to mean you have to play on the cloud. You just have to have Game Pass. You can download those games. You can download the games to your system. Plus, as we know from the conversation we had the other day, most people don't even plug their goddamn box into the cable. They're doing Wi-Fi. So you're already at a disadvantage. That's not optimal either, but people apparently are doing that. Are Sony gamers like the Borg? Yeah, maybe. What cut do they get from Game Pass, though? I'm telling you, they would. Did you listen to what I just said, Paul? I said they would have to make some sort of deal where they get a percentage of it. I never said they wouldn't make anything from it. In my actual talk, when I was saying through the article, I said they would actually have to make a deal to make money. Just to see the game for $70 and take that 70% cut. The PlayStation fans love to support the devs. Look, the customers are going to... The customers are going to buy or not buy games when they want it. Okay? If Microsoft makes a deal to get a percentage right now, the third-party games that are now first-party games, PlayStation has to pay for them. They're giving a percentage to Microsoft. If Xbox doesn't sell consoles anymore, right? They don't sell consoles anymore. They just sell Game Pass. What's the difference? They're not selling consoles anymore. They're not a competitor for actual consoles anymore. Right? The next version, let's just say there's no console. Right? What's the competition to PlayStation and Nintendo? They're just a publisher, and they're just giving Game Pass. Titan says, to get Game Pass on your PlayStation, you need to sign a contract by Sony in that you can't buy Xbox ever. And in the contract, in the small fine print, Titan, it says if you do buy an Xbox, we get your firstborn child. And people don't read that, and they just hit OK. All right, terms of service. Sounds good. All of a sudden, someone goes, Merry Christmas. We got you an Xbox. Oh. Picks up your kid and walks out the door. What happened? I made a deal with the devil. I hit a TOS. I hit the OK button on a TOS. I said I would never buy an Xbox, and, well. James says, they can have the kid. I didn't want kids anyway. Yeah, but what you don't realize is like 20 years later, your child's actually an adult. He gets taken away. No child support, win-win. Oh, but you're paying a streaming service though, so it's like child support. For just your $17, you too can support the devs. In the eyes of an angel. They show the devs getting whipped and they're typing away. We're making games. Support the devs. I'm going to do a news story on this. Like, I'm not going to make a breakout video. I'm just going to talk about this one. 3 Grand Theft Auto games will be available on Netflix next month. So this is that article that we talked about a couple months ago that we said, how is Netflix going to team up with Rockstar? Well, here it is. So Grand Theft Auto Trilogy, the Definitive Edition, will officially become available on Netflix members for no extra cost on Apple's App Store and Google Play Store on the Netflix mobile app on December 14th, 2023. Those who can't wait to jump into Grand Theft Auto 3, the Definitive Edition, Grand Theft Auto Vice City or Definitive Edition, and Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, the Definitive Edition, can pre-register today and get ready for December 14th and play as soon as they get available. Grand Theft Auto, the Trilogy, the Definitive Edition, had a bit of a bumpy launch and has since been patched, fixed bugs, textures, and much more. There you go. In Grand Theft Auto Trilogy Definitive Edition reviews, we said that there would be no question that 3 games of the GTA trilogy are all-time classics, but unfortunately been remastered with the ham hand instead of the love fist. New features are slightly and only partially implemented. Visuals are also mixed performance and inconsistent at best. Some content is missing, and bugs and glitches abound. And the existing state in the collection of the 3 classic GTA games is far from being considered definitive. It's defective, disappointing, and surprisingly disrespected to both the legacy and the games themselves. And there may even be legions of fans of IGN's added. December looks like to be a big month for Grand Theft Auto fans, as it will see the much-anticipated arrival for the first trailer for Grand Theft Auto 6. In addition to these 3 classic Grand Theft Auto games, will bring Netflix gaming library to over 80 titles. And it's also, these games are available on Netflix subscribers without ads, in-app purchases, or extra fees. So there you go. So they're bringing the definitive edition to Netflix. It's definitely the way I want to play GTA. Well, I some people want to play mobile games, Rose. Not for you. Not for you. It's for the guys with younger eyes, children. For the children that all they own is a cell phone. And they don't even own it. They pay a monthly payment for it. All right, I want to watch this 8-minute video, and then I'll probably take us till 12:30 with me stopping it and starting it and talking about it and whatnot. The last thing we're going to talk about today is The Banisher: Ghosts of New Eden. This is a video that came out this morning. And it's going over what the Banisher is. The Banisher is that game that we saw that was like, oh, it's like The Witcher, but now called the Banisher. So here we go.
Hear me and be gone. So I don't we like to torture the gamers. We like to force them to look into their own morality and make difficult choices.
Fine, banish him. You want to banish
yeah?
him.
That was easy.
Well, you want to banish him more than I'm just like, okay.
Banisher's Ghost of New Eden is a new narrative-driven action RPG set in North America, Massachusetts. Red and Antea are banishers, deeply in love. They are people who have sworn to protect the living from the dead. They live by the mantra, life to the living, death to the dead.
Isn't that the same type of story as The Witcher?
They have been facing a very powerful and unknown entity. They have not been able to defeat it. And Antea dies at the end of the game's prologue. Even more tragically, she comes back as a ghost. That means she has become the thing she hates the most on Earth. It's you.
Antea is the head. She's the head banisher. She's really good at it. She's been doing it for a really long time. She's very skillful.
Well, she's dead now.
She's really clean and clear about her decisions. She doesn't let emotions get in the way. Rarely. Sometimes it happens, but not.
I mean, I have to say, before we even started, a minute 27 seconds into this video, the director of the game told you what happens in the prologue, which I think they could have stayed quiet about. I think it would have been a nice little, to find it out when it happened.
Not often. And she's teaching Red how to banish.
We are banishers. We end suffering for those who live. We bring closure to those who don't.
So Red's a complex character. He carries a lot of grief with him in life, and he does defer to Antea quite a lot, and the relationship's interesting. He's not kind of a straightforward archetype, despite kind of what he looks like. I think in the relationship he has shades of codependency and things like that. He's a warrior. He's a soldier ultimately, but I think there's a kind of interesting softness to him as well at times that usually comes out in the relationship with Antea.
I have you.
You have me. When Antea comes back as a ghost, the couple has to decide what they will do. They could give her the ascent, meaning they will let her go, or try to bring her back by trying to resurrect her. That means Red will have to betray his Banisher's oath. That means he will have to take as many lives as possible to feed Antea with souls and try to bring her back from the dead.
Jesus Christ. You gotta kill a bunch of people to bring back your love?
I banish you. Great tormentor, I banish you.
Hammer and Tongs is one of the first hunting cases Red and Antea will have to solve. Nellie is haunted by the ghost of her dead husband. Fortune Eaton has been dead for quite a time now. Arthur has taken the place of Fortune Eaton for the whole community. Fortune Eaton, the real Fortune Eaton, was a terrible husband.
I warned you. No. You're pathetic.
I want a divorce!
I warned you this would happen again.
The poor Nellie met a nice guy, Arthur, and they killed Fortune Eaton, the real one. And Arthur took his identity. And now they both live as a happy couple in New Eden town, but the ghost of Fortune, the real Fortune Eaton, is back and he's quite pissed. So now it's time for you to make a choice as the player. You could decide to banish the awful ghost. You could decide to bring him peace and give him the ascent. If you have decided to bring back Antea to life, if you want to resurrect her, that means you have to gather as many souls as possible. That means you will have to sacrifice perhaps Nellie, perhaps Arthur. That's an awful choice, but if you want to resurrect Antea, you have to sacrifice the living. You made a pact. That means you stick to a decision you made or not. There are 5 different endings that will reveal and reflect the sum of the many decisions you had to make. I hope you will find all of them very entertaining and surprising.
Well, the banishing as a Maka feels harsh because I feel like you're sending a spirit off to have a torturous life.
He was angry, and I was in his line of sight. No matter who or what had upset him, the full force of his anger would fall on me.
If it was you, put yourself in Nellie's shoes.
Put yourself in Nellie's shoes. What do you want to? What would you do?
Banish him. Yeah, if I was
So
making
you
a
think
decision
he should
based
just
on...
send him
Yeah.
into the void, suffer in torment?
Yes,
Yes. Yeah.
justice for Nellie.
It just feels like bad karma.
That's up to you. That's what the game is about. That's up to you.
Just want him to say sorry.
Maybe
That's not
maybe he
gonna
will.
happen.
Just try it.
Will he speak?
He will. Maybe just try. Give him the assent if you.
I want to give him the assent.
Okay.
As
Fine,
a player.
do-
Assent.
Assent.
Oh no, you were going to say
Okay.
banish.
No, go on, do the
Assent, okay.
Quick to anger, your cruel brutality left your wife in despair. You treat her as a possession.
They stole my name and took my life.
Tough. But now you'll leave Nellie alone. She's not yours and never was. I'm giving you the peaceful way out. Count yourself lucky.
Yeah. Count yourself lucky,
He'll be
mate.
it now.
He's not going to say
He'd
sorry.
be up to his
Go
old
in
tricks.
peace.
He didn't say sorry.
Nah, should have banished him.
He might still say sorry. Come on, man. This is your choice. It's your chance to say sorry.
How do you feel about your decision
I don't know. It feels weirdly unsatisfying.
Yeah, I would have banished him.
Yeah.
Do you want to see the banish hand?
Yes, can we?
Okay,
Yeah,
of
yeah,
course.
I am Fortune Eaton. Ever was and ever will be.
Not anymore. Be gone.
I banish you.
Oh my
This is more
gosh,
satisfying.
This is horrible.
I like how the guy's like, this is more satisfying.
Way more satisfying, yes.
I think he deserved it.
He definitely
Yeah.
deserved it.
He deserved that. That
but
wasn't
it's-
too bad.
I just feel like we're going to pay for it later.
Maybe, but that's what banishers do.
We found it hard to agree.
Yeah, I find it hard to agree. I think it's
I'm not playing a game with other people. My choice.
also quite hard to divorce yourself from the character that
I like how crowd's like, got banished.
you're playing. Obviously, we're playing the game as ourselves, but then we've acted the game out as the characters.
But I think
It's
when
hard
we
to-
when we were arguing it,
Yeah.
you, Russ, wanted to do what Antea would do,
Yes, that's
and
right.
I actually wanted to do what Red would do.
Yeah, so really I should have played Antea and you should have played Red. That would have been more.
That would have been
Yeah, no, that's right.
terrible.
So I hope you enjoyed this short journey with me, Red and Atea, in the dark places of New Eden Town. And I can't wait to see the players face the many challenges and choices they will have to deal with in Banisher's Ghost of New Eden.
I've done nothing wrong.
Life's a journey. Death is but one step.
Antea, what have you done with her? Hellsballs. Lady, if you hurt her...
You cling to love, a fool to the last. There is no love.
Looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. I think we'll see that in the end of the year is in the running. At least from what the trailer looks like. I don't know what the gameplay and stuff looks like. Yeah, it comes out in February. Problem might be that it comes out so early in the year, people forget about it. Right? But it does look interesting. I think I'm just going to banish everybody. Game Pass day one. Excuse me. Game Pass day one. I think is it coming out? Yeah, it's coming out for everybody. Yeah, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, S. It'll come out like 4 months later if it doesn't sell well. It'll be like Remnant 2. It'll be like Remnant 2. looks more like a movie pick or a choice game. It seems like it's a more. I thought it was PlayStation exclusive. If it's coming out that soon, why isn't there actual gameplay? There might be. There might be an actual gameplay. Let me see. I think this is just more promotional stuff. Just let's see. They have an overview. No, that's what we just watched. That's what we just watched. 5 months ago, they had gameplay reveal and trailer. That's a minute 35. They have a 15-minute long official extended gameplay trailer. Yeah, this is actual gameplay. This was 2 months ago, though.
You're alive.
Long story short, resting before reaching your camp. Any chance they survived in the woods?
Not the slightest. Otherwise, they would already be here. Those poor bastards are long dead.
Speak frankly. What would you have me do?
Banish a ghost that doesn't exist. The beast is nothing much. A bear, perhaps a wolf.
I'll hunt your beast. Whatever it is.
In the wild, we carry muskets. And we carry these. Whistle for help if the need be great.
And the gun?
My sister can spare her musket. If you can get it from her.
You think Kate's feelings get in her way?
Watch her reaction when you ask for the musket, then tell me I'm wrong.
This is going to be an interesting game.
Don't you have business elsewhere? Go, save us all from the beast. Go do my sister's char work.
I need a musket. Thickskin said I should have yours.
You'll rot in hell first.
You and your sister don't much like each other, do you?
No, we love each other. And everyone here owes her their lives. But... thick skin measures worth by metal.
Is everybody in this game very brash? Like, what's happening here?
Die. She chose you to hunt the beast with my musket. She doesn't have to say a word about what she thinks of me.
The more I know Thickskin, the more I like her. Some would call her ruthless. Is she wrong?
Aye, she's wrong. We survive when we care for each other. There's honor in that. If this keeps up, there won't be a wolf left in New England.
Yeah, but here's my question, right? Here's my question, Crowded. There's games that are games that you play. There's games that you play that you experience. And then there's games that you play that are just action-packed, right? Why is this game, or any game like this, right? Like, you don't like pushing the buttons or whatever, like a God of War, like a Beyond Human, Become Human, or whatever, right? Like the quick time events, right? But that just means that game's not meant for you, right? Just like all television shows or movies not meant for everybody.
Dug up all the wolves.
And plucked them out.
Yeah, Dave Rose says everyone from medieval times were assholes. Yeah, because you gotta admit it had to be sucked. It had to suck to be then. I'm gonna let this play for a second. I'll be right back.
Not even the younglings survived.
What could have done this?
Vengeance. Vengeance incarnate. Whatever butchered the wolves spoke as one, with many voices.
Many spirits in borrowed flesh. Could it be a scourge?
Yes, a scourge. Powerful and very angry.
What the bloody hell?
Let's make this quick. You're no.
Anything cool happen?
That was a little closer than I would have liked.
That howl, like many souls screaming as one.
The problem with games like this, we were just talking about like the other Project LLL. Oh, you could judge, Chief. I was just asking, like, why is it a bad game? Because it's like that, right? Like, there's comedies, there's different genres of different things, right? Problem with games like this is when a game comes out, like God of War, and then another game comes out that's like it, everyone compares it to that. But we don't remember what God of War was compared to, right? When The Witcher came out, what were we comparing The Witcher to? When some game comes out and does something so well, and then other things come out, we just compare it to that instead of just letting it be its own.
Fancy that, a body.
And that's the problem, though, when you come out first with something, or something that just never been done, or you do it the best, and then everything gets compared to you.
And there are teeth marks.
He's not letting me get in his way, is he?
Combat seems okay.
Why do I get the feeling that we're sitting ducks?
I like this transition that you're going between the two characters.
Careful.
Don't just stand there. Move.
It's almost like she's training him, like he's new, they're in love. They're like dancing as they're fighting.
You're in its sights, Ray. You're done.
Can't leave it.
Now, use your rings to banish that thing.
There's a level up system you can see. They're like level 8.
Here,
I wonder if there's like a skill tree and stuff that you have to...
Help will come. Help will come, I know it. The Lord have mercy upon our souls.
The huntress has killed us. Rot in hell, thick-skinned newsmith! Rot in hell!
Someone is generous with her whistles.
Much use they were to this poor bugger.
If this Doolin fellow was meant to protect the missing group, I dread to think what became of them.
This is Thickskin's doing. These people were defenseless.
She lied to keep them safe.
This game for me would be if there was nothing else out that I wasn't interested in, I could see myself picking this up and playing it. But if there's other things coming out, like if doesn't Suicide Squad come out like the day before this one? This comes out the 3rd, doesn't it? Or does it come out the same day? See, I'm more interested in Suicide Squads than this.
Someone was here some time ago. Take heart indeed.
Maybe they're still out there somewhere.
Maybe.
papers, half burned. Says here
Those
that
look good, though.
Kate loved a woman named Deborah.
Okay, hold on. I want to see this for a second. So there's rest, fast travel, evolution. So you do have stats. Is there a skill tree? Common, enhanced, rudimentary. Okay, so you're leveling up your weapons. Okay, so you have your outfit, more of a tiered system.
There were more than a few settlers. This scourge is going to be huge. Are you ready for the ritual?
No, but let's do it anyway.
Rose, that game I may or may not be playing later will determine. Titan. This game doesn't have King Shark with an AK-47. Pass.
Red.
It's behind me, isn't it?
Yes.
Of course it is. Every bloody time.
Okay. Pretty.
Surely too big to be a wolf.
It's a scourge, all right. Anger shaped to kill.
We wish you no harm. We know all about the wolf whistles. The whistles thick skin gave you. Oh, shite!
Three-phase boss fight.
Now you're ours.
Here, we'll skip back. We'll skip past this.
Not that.
Would need feeding.
The weak die that the strong may live.
You tricked them.
I tested them. This be the way of it. This
I
be
feel like
the
this girl
way
was
of
in
the
Game of
world.
Thrones.
We have a hidden watcher.
Is she from the? Is she the girl that was in the
My
Wildlings?
sister.
Wildlings.
Kate? Show yourself.
What? You're unarmed! Get yourself back to camp! All these long years, I wish to be like you. To be as tough as you. If I was stalwart like my sister, I thought, I'd have saved her. I was just like you. Cold, selfish.
Maybe you
afeard
can
of my
expect
own
in a
kind.
cutscene fast forward.
And the woman I loved died for it.
Everything I did so that you...
Fight, 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 fight. Oh wait.
I dare because I care.
Enough.
You're gonna fight. Let me watch.
Look about you. You brought this curse upon yourselves. Falls to me to lift it.
Maybe they're not ready. Broken hearts need time to heal.
All right, I don't want to watch. I don't want to know. Looks interesting. Seriously, it does look interesting. Maybe it'll be that February hit, but it comes out. Oh, did you guys see that? You guys see that? 2 months ago, it was supposed to come out in November. November 7th, it was supposed to be out. And now it's coming out February, end of February, beginning of February. Are they polishing it? What's happening? What's happening? Did they polish it? Are they polishing it? I knew nothing. I knew nothing of the game. So I just saw that. I just saw November 7th. I was like, wait a minute. So is that game coming out at a later date? I mean, not a later date. So is that game postponed because something major happens? What I meant to say. They're smoothing out all the slick gameplay. Yeah, I don't know. So it was a bad sign because you delayed it from November to February. So what are you doing in December, January? Right? It's called the Banisher, right? Banisher release date. It's now set for February 13th. I mean, I'll be honest. I only got time for one delayed game at a time. And now the delayed game I'm choosing is Suicide Squad because that got delayed a year. Well, almost 8 months. Well, there goes the Xmas sell money. Maybe that's why we haven't been seeing a lot of stuff about it. And now they're booting it back up. They're running with it. 2 months they haven't said anything. And now we're basically a week past of when it was supposed to launch. Yeah, I kind of actually agree if they released it. Now, obviously, maybe it's not complete, which makes me think it's not going to be complete when it comes out. Hopefully it's good. It does look interesting. It does seem a little slow-paced, though. All right. What else we got? I got... And the game that I made or may not be playing is awesome. I'm still playing it. That says anything? It just says that you're still may or may not be playing it. That's all it says. That's what your sentence says. The game that you may or may not be playing, you're still playing it. So all it says is you're still playing the game. I'm going to also playing or not playing. Let's see if anything's happening over on the Twitter. Uh-oh. Here. Oh, hold on. I can't read these out loud, so I'm skimming through stuff on Twitter, just making sure I can read them. I can't say them. There's stuff on there's stuff on the interweb that you can read. People are literally breaking. They're playing or they're breaking NDA. It looks like good news, though. That's what I'll say. It looks like good news. You're probably not wrong. You're probably not wrong. Here's a thing. Here's my thoughts regarding from my game. No secret. Follow me. I'm huge, longer than most. 1,000 hours within minutes. I can. The incredibly satisfying. Feels like I've been apprehensive. Approach to weighty and powerful, fitting and perfectly. I like her, and I'm smitten with it. Adrenaline hit. Add to that the charm, the light. Excited to see how more boys too. Next, Bella feels the most. Definitely going to ramps. The hardest, in my opinion, but well, we'll have to wait and see. Laughed out loud. I don't feel like it either. And lately, I think nothing feels like anyone or any who guy cooler, pulling off midair. Feels like I'm excited, pissed. All in all, but none of it will ever know what I'm writing here because NDA. Maybe I'm unredacted later. Who knows? There you go. That's the way I would sum it up. I would sum it up that way. That's the sum up. Do you guys feel like a clearer picture now of what that game is? I feel it. I feel it. It feels really good to get that off my chest. I was really excited about that part. I don't know why this is funny. Hold on. Let me. So as we talk about stuff, we'll just watch. Is that a hedgehog? Was that a gopher? It's a gopher, right? Rose is like pre-order. That sold me. I think it's said it all. I mean, if you're not pre-ordering after that statement, I don't know. This is how I shower, by the way. I just have people just hose me down. I turn. That's how it's done. Oh, here, look. We can read this. We can read this, and then I'll be done. Suicide Squad Alpha Leak suggests first post-launch hero surprising positively. Oh, this is already he's reporting on. Oh yeah, he's reporting on Miller. So we won't read that. We already read Miller's stuff. We already read Miller's stuff, so that we won't read that. Oh, is this the
842? There we go.
Nope, that's not the new thing. I was looking at a Destiny clip there for a second. Hellblade 2 receives a R18 plus rating in Australia. I guess they're getting closer to be done with that. All right. That's going to do it for me. Nothing else to say. So I may or may not be playing a game now. But we won't talk about it later. But we will have a podcast tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, Generation X Gaming, the weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories from the past week, and we rant along the way. Join me and Sarge as we do the last episode for November, and then we have a couple of more weeks in December for more shows. So I appreciate it very much. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for hanging out. And make sure you hit that like button. And make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you'd like to go above and beyond that, make sure you go over to the member section, and as little as $5 can help us out. Appreciate it very much. I'll see you guys tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. Peace.